over that.
Welcome to the Summer Showcase. This is Michael Washington here, Shady Sports Network. I am with Kyle Kitchens, Berlin defensive end and current sack leader, if I am correct, of the European League of Football, I believe, with 13. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
I got that right? Yeah, look at you. Look at you. Your ELF career at Berlin, you've been there for 2 years now, correct?
I've been here for 2 years, and then I played for Leipzig my first year in the ELF.
Yeah, that's right. Leipzig was the first one that you played with, first team you played with. Probably kind of sad to see what happened with that organization this year, huh?
Yes, it's sad because you still know guys on that team that didn't even have a chance to go play for other teams because most of the time when you're already in the season, you can't really just pick up like other Germans or they can't be counted as European players because every team has their base foundation already set. So, but on the bright side, it kind of helped Berlin Thunder because we also picked up some players from Leipzig. So it was pretty good.
I know that the import-export rules, homegrown stuff like that over there, the rules are kind of, a little different than how we would see them. And, it's not like an influx of American players can come over and play, which I think is good in the sense of it at least allows some of these organizations to start building like a foundation, at least for the future prospect of stuff for homegrown players for a sport that generally isn't like considered one of the top popular sports over there. So I do like those rules as far as it's concerned, but I'm sure it can make roster construction pretty tricky sometimes.
It can, especially when you bring your Americans over here. Your Americans have to be able to do pretty much everything and still be leaders. So some Americans come over here, they ball out, they go, and then some Americans come over here and they don't ball because they are in a system in college. When they get out of college, they was never in a system where they was always the top guy. They was just in a system. But majority of Americans, when they come over here, they're balling because they have to do it because you have to do so much instead of you cannot be doing the least.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, especially considering when you're talking about looking towards leadership and stuff for this type of sport. Like you definitely need the people with the most experience in this sport to kind of be that leader and kind of essentially be a coach on the field too with some of the homegrown athletes, I imagine.
Yeah, so you have to be a leader on and off the field. Carry yourself like a professional and you get treated like a professional. But it is sometimes where Americans tend to it's an eye opener for them when they leave the country. And it's like their first time in Europe where they think they can just get away with everything. But that's not the case. Come over here, do your business, get the job done, and then be a leader. Most of the time, quarterbacks are the most leaders, but then you have defensive players like linebackers, safeties who are going to be leaders on the defensive side, and just your American quarterback is usually the leader on the offensive side. So
yeah, no, that's actually, I like that. Act like a professional, get treated like a professional. I like that. Get some merch there going, Kyle.
I'm gonna try.
You know what I'm saying? So Catawba College. I hope I got that right. I got that right this time.
Yeah.
I asked you before we came on. Yeah, I got it. All right. It's where you started. It's what division is that? I actually did not see. Is it Division 2?
It's Division 2. It's Division 2 in the SAC conference, the South Atlantic Conference.
Okay.
And we're matched up with Lenore Ryan, Carson Newman, and Newberry. So that little region, and it's a couple more teams, a few more teams in the region.
You left that college the all-time leading sack leader. Yeah, does that record still hold?
Yes.
Yes.
Still holds. And You always encourage the guys to like, you always want to set something new. So when a new guy beats it, like somebody's going to beat it in the future, and you just want to know when it's going to be done.
Look at that,
Like,
talented and
like,
humble. Look at that,
like,
talented and humble.
like, because at first the record was up there since 92. I want to say 92,
Oh, nice.
96,
Okay.
probably like the latest 2000. Okay, I just want to say 2000, and nobody has beat the record until I did it. So that was about 18 years, 20 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what was it, 38 and a half sacks in your career? Is that what I remember correctly?
38, 38,
Yeah,
30 and
yeah,
a half.
38. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty remarkable in its own stretch. I mean, were you a 4 year starter there? Or
Yes.
yeah.
So I didn't start my first game, and then we did it like the next man up. So the dude who was in front of me, he got injured, which
Mm,
was like, of course, it's sad that your sophomore, junior gets injured, and then it was just next man up, and then I just came in, had a decent game, and just kept going, kept going.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I hate it for the guy that got hurt because nobody ever wants to see anybody get hurt. But I mean, sometimes it takes an injury to get an opportunity, and it just you never looked back, man. That's awesome. So I usually open these interviews with like the first question. So this is the first question I normally ask, but we got a little bit talking there, so now it's a little bit later. When you left Catawba College and you were looking to play professionally, how did you hear about playing overseas? Because did you start in the GFL?
I
Is that
started
what?
in the GFL
Yeah.
2019. I started in the GFL. Just like anything, like you're a little skeptical when people reach out to you. Like
Of course. Yeah.
at that time, Facebook was the biggest thing.
Mm,
Like so, people will reach out to me on Facebook and everything. Hey, are you interested in playing in Europe? Are you interested in playing um, in Japan? So they reach out to you.
right.
But at this time, you're a little hesitant on everything because it's like I don't even think at that time I didn't even think they had football in Europe.
Right.
So you have to do your research here, there, and you just open up a conversation. You just as long as you get comfortable with somebody, you're good. So I got comfortable with the guy who brought me over here my first year for in 2019 for the Potsdam Royals. I got comfortable. I took my chance, but of course I did work just in case anything went left. I was just
Mm.
gonna hop right back on the plane and go come back home. I didn't care about that. So
Well, luckily that's not what happened, right? You know.
luckily that didn't happen. So you learn, so you take your chance, make sure you're all good. So I took my chance and then just never look back.
Look at that. Hey, did you come back over to the States in 2020 when the pandemic hit and everybody shut down? Did you come back over to the States or did you stay in Europe?
So I stayed in Europe for
Oh,
that
nice.
summer. I stayed in Europe, and while the pandemic was going on in the States, it never reached Europe yet.
Ah, okay.
And so when the pandemic really reached Europe, I was leaving Europe and coming back to the States where everything was getting cleared up.
Okay. All
So
right.
because I was already like over here training with my team
Mm,
for Hidden Sign Invaders in 2020, and I got over here like March. I want to say the pandemic hit probably
mm.
early May in the states, but it never reached to this. It never reached Europe, and then when I got left Europe, that's when it got bad in Europe. So
Oh, so I mean, you dodged the peak of everything in both areas. Look at that.
yes,
Good timing for you, huh?
I dodged it, and I kept dodging it. So
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, how did your connection to the ELF, because the ELF started in 2021. It was the first year that they did it because this is the third year currently. How did the connection to Lepsing come? Was it from the GFL and they switched over to the league and they brought you with them, or was it just something that you saw and decided you were going to give it a shot? How'd that come about?
So at that time, I was playing for Hillside Invaders, and we was going back and forth with like, should we go to the F or should we stay in the GFL? So my team decided to go in the F, and we created a new team. So originally I was going to
Mm.
play for a team in Hanover, but that team canceled. Like
Okay.
they never was formed. So since I was going to play for that team in Hanover, I was already in the F. I got back from Europe, and then I was like, let me just wait patiently, see what happens. As things
Mm.
was going on, I had some of my teammates wanted to stay with Hillside because they dropped down in the level, but I always wanted to play in the highest level I can. That could be GFL one, the
Yep.
Elf, anything. Just always want to be the highest level.
Yeah, for sure.
And so some of my players stayed in the GFL, so they went down to the GFL two. But most of the imports and like European players
Hmm.
went to the F, and the closest team to us was Leipzig. They said, "Hey, we found the coach," and so that's where I met Coach Armstrong. He reached out to me,
Mm.
he talked to me. He said, "I would like for you to come play." I'm just an he basically a new coach into like the European Football League, and I was basically a new player in the European Football League. So
Yeah.
basically, me and like you build a bond with your imports because most of the time they're Americans. They're from other countries too, instead of like the homegrown. And then so we kind of all went to the same team. Like we all went to Leipzig together.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's always good when you have teammates that go with you to a new spot or somebody that you've built some sort of relationship with because it gives you that kind of familiarity as you move on to the next chapter in your life. Um, you played indoor a little bit, yeah. Wild Aces with the Fan Control Football League.
Yeah, I played in fan control football league.
Yeah,
That was good.
how's that experience in comparison to like outdoor football, whether it be Europe or even college for that sense?
I like outdoor football.
Mm,
Fan control football. It's a good league. It's a great league. I just prefer outdoor football because at the end of the day, when you're playing indoor football, you can't wind out to help you in your rush.
mm,
Like sometimes I wind out in outdoor football to help me get a better ankle,
yes.
but in indoor football, certain rules are a little different. And just the same as like so fan control football changed the rules just a little bit more. But I was able to learn from there because I was able to like drop back and cover like tight ends and everything. So that was the best thing. And of course, you're in America, so
All right. Yeah.
everybody's coming to compete. Everybody's still interactive with each other and stuff. So that's the best thing about it.
Yeah, I've always been curious about the differences in how the development of players come from indoor to outdoor because I feel like with indoor it's a little more constrictive based upon the rule set, so it's more of a basic like um, uh, developmental package with the indoor compared to outdoor. But that's awesome that you were able to still learn to like drop back and play a little bit more of that hybrid DE linebacker role that a lot of people seem to be kind of jumping into nowadays as the edge position. So that's really neat. That's actually a pretty cool story there.
Yeah, and I liked a lot in the fan control football,
Mm,
especially with one of my coaches who coaching out here now, Coach Baker, but he
yeah.
coached for Barcelona. He was my coach in the fan control football.
Oh, sweet. So there's a
Like
connection there. That's
he was my
awesome.
he was my D line coach, and but by that time I was already signed to another team. I was signed to Berlin when he came
Berlin.
out.
Yeah.
He came out here to play coach for Barcelona, and it's just good that you just have those type of connections and those type of network throughout the whole football world and universe.
So speaking of Berlin, when you came over to from Leipzig, you went on to I mean you won defensive player of the year last year with Berlin. You had 12 and a half sacks with Leipzig. You had finished with 16 with Berlin last year. What contributed, or is there any specific thing that you could point to that contributed to the improvement. I was going to say success, but I mean, you had success at Leipzig, so it's not. It's just, but the improved success when you jumped over to Berlin.
I say a couple more games. We played a little bit, couple more games.
Mm.
Um, I would say, I would just say, once it's just like a baby. Like once the baby learn how to walk, it can just walk forever. And just like me, once I learned the game in the F, I was able to develop and go home and train and then keep it going. So I think that just helped, just going home, knowing the game, knowing what you have to do, coming back with revenge because you set your standards so high
Mm.
and everybody expects you to keep your standards
Yeah.
that when the pressure comes, you just gotta be able to handle it. So I just set my standards high and I just want to keep my standards high at all times.
Speaking of those standards, 16 sacks last year. You're at 13 right now. Are you looking to try to get over that 16 hump this year
Yes.
and improve? Of course, yeah, right.
Yes.
You see that
Oh,
number and you're just
yes.
like, oh, straight
Yes.
ahead.
I'm all go this year. I'm all go. I I want to always break my own record, so that what keeps me going. Like just always breaking your own stuff. So
Yeah.
if I break it this year, that's basically like saying I broke my record every 3 years, every year. Like it gives me motivation. Like, hey,
No doubt.
you your own record right now. Like every time you get more, or every time you lead, you your own record.
Speaking of records, Kyle Kitchens here, Berlin Thunder defensive end, actually the first non-quarterback to appear on Summer Showcase and set that record there, and then just set the record for the fastest yes ever on the show, the history of the show. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on that one too. I don't know if that one will ever be beat. That was a very fast yes on that one.
I'm just determined.
Yeah, hey, I mean you got to do it. So, did you have any interceptions in college? Because you had one last year. So, did you have any
I did.
interceptions in college? Oh, okay, all right, sweet,
I did
okay.
have. I had an interception in college and returned it for 90 yards to a touchdown.
Oh, so you actually had a pick six. Look at that.
Yeah, pick six.
Get this man, play this man at safety. Come on, he can do it.
That,
Get a
that was
little
good.
pick six. It
Yeah,
hits different when you're on the line, man. I played offensive defensive line myself, and when you actually get like a fumble recovery that you can return or an interception of sorts that just kind of falls into your well, for me, falls into my hands because you probably played that little bit of the coverage a little bit. I didn't really. I was a defensive tackle, so it wasn't it falls into your hands. I did
it
have
falls
one.
in.
I did have one. I didn't go very far, but I did get
It's
one.
I know if I get caught, if I get like catching like football, like somebody catch me in football, I know my friends are just gonna come to me and be like, "Cal, you're slow. You should have scored." Like, I'm like, y'all play wide receiver and defensive back. Y'all faster than me. So
That was my
that's
problem. Was I was just slow, man. If I had the hands, I just slow.
so that's why I have to score when I get like a fumble or like a interception.
Have to. You start running out of your cleats. You don't even feel it. You're just like,
And the worst part is the quarterback.
no, God.
Just always trying to beat the quarterback. Don't get tackled by the quarterback.
Never want to get tackled by the. I mean, unless you were going up against like Lamar, you definitely do not want to get tackled by the quarterback because I mean they, yeah, that's just that you'll never live that down ever.
No.
It's like getting tackled by a punter, isn't it? Like you're just never gonna live that down.
Well, nowadays punters can tackle better
Oh
than anybody.
God.
So
I saw a college punter the other day. He was built like a linebacker, and I was like, man,
I'm
I
like,
don't know if
okay,
you get hit by
I'll
that
take
dude.
I'll take a punter right now.
Uh, you were actually one of the first ones to sign. You were an all-star team member, obviously, because defensive player of the year, that would be expected. But you were one of the first players to re-sign for the 2023 season with Berlin. Was that something that you were dead set that you were going to do no matter what, or did you have other options that were like kind of floating that just never really came to fruition, or how was it just a decision you made in the season and you were like, I'm just coming back, or did it take a little time for you?
Well, they treat me right. Berlin Thunder treated me right. So
Yeah.
it was just no hands down. just to come back because I have been with different organizations where I was
Mm,
treated bad, and Berlin did everything I wanted, and I still was able to I was still able to improve my standards, you know.
yeah.
So when you don't have to worry about little things like going to the doctor, going to meetings, and your organization and your medical team is taking care of that.
Mm,
It's just the only thing I have to do is just come up and do what I have to do, what you get paid for, and come play football. So it was just easy for me to make that decision to resign back to Berlin. So once
yeah.
everything was taken care of, just go.
I say I love hearing that, man. I love when organizations take care of their players, and you know what I mean. Like it's a good feeling for any football fan to hear something like that because it shows dedication and commitment to something and making it work. And that's always something that you don't always hear about with certain things, unfortunately. So
Yeah, and so
yeah.
I love my organization. I love my medical team, and it just on from that. Even like I love my staff. People work for the games and stuff. So like
Oh,
it's a big little family and everything. So that's the best thing.
laying some groundwork and foundation over there in Germany, Kyle Kitchens, man. I mean, I can't imagine that it was probably a little bit of a culture shock or a change when you went over from coming from America to Germany for you in a sense. Was the transition fairly smooth for you when you came over in 2019?
It was a little bumpy. I still had to learn the way they
Mm,
live life, the way they move, the culture, lifestyle mostly. But
mm,
once you just know who you are, stay true to yourself, it doesn't matter really where you at in the world. You know,
mm.
you just gotta
Yes.
learn. You just gotta learn their culture, so you're more accepted to their culture, and you just be open minded.
Look at this. You got all kinds of quotes in here. Once you know who you are, you can just
Like,
make it work anywhere. Look at that.
make it work. Like,
Act like a professional, treat like a professional. I love it. I love it, man. Dropping
so,
all kinds of lines over here. Kyle Kitchen's the motivational speaker when football's done, right? That's going to be
uh,
no.
that's the goal. I don't know. I guess I get it from just like coaching and everything. Like
Mm.
I coach my football team when I come back to the states. Like of
Oh,
course they
nice. Okay.
season, of course it's the high school. Of course they season is going on right now. So
Yeah.
players that reach out to me, I help out. Or like when it's state off season, we all go train and they help me train too. So it's just nice to just train with people and but most of all help develop the youth, help develop them. And then I really like coach my lacrosse team when I come back home.
Oh, lacrosse
Um,
too. Look at you.
I coach my high school lacrosse team, so I guess that's why I get all the little motivation quotes. Cause you got to keep them up. You
Well,
have to
that
keep that energy up.
well, that was actually my next question. That's what I was going to ask next. Is is coaching in the future when you do decide to retire? Is it something that you're going to look into as far as that's concerned? Because I mean, I did a little volunteer coaching, and I know what they go through. It's so it's not for everybody, but it seems like you already have your foot in the door there.
I have my foot in the door. I think I would just need a career, like
Mm,
after, like just a solid foundation career. I don't mind doing volunteer coach. Like
yep.
that's just what I'm doing basically now.
Yeah.
Um, it just I would just have to have like a solid base career that
Yeah.
pays the money, that pays the bills. That's it.
Well, hopefully that's still several years down the road, and I can watch you for plenty of years still playing here
That's probably
in the future because you're not
that,
that old. I can't imagine. So
that- that's probably 5, 7 years down the road. But
yeah, yeah,
with sports growing so much around the world that it's easy just to land a job in sports.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Have you not exactly a favorite question amongst a lot of people, but have you thought about what it would be like to come back to the states and play? Are you happy laying the foundation in the ELF for as long as possible? What's the goal there as far as that's concerned? Because I know there's some American imports that the ultimate goal for them is to get back over and play over here outdoors, and with a lot of these leagues opening up, it's giving up more opportunity. But what's your ultimate end game. It sounds like you're very happy in Berlin, and no Berlin. I'm not trying to recruit him back to the States. I just a simple question.
The goal is always to play in the States.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna let the States make me miserable. So with that being said, it's just so many politics. It's so many players that play like don't even play a college snap and still get a better opportunity than most people who play thousands of snaps. It's a big connection world that I'm not trying to put myself into. If it happens, it happens. Cool. My team respects it. But I'm getting the same treatment as if I was in the States. I'm able to wake up every day to go play football. I'm able to enjoy my life. I'm probably doing better than most of the people who are in the States playing football, because at the end of the day, everybody know how football is in the States. It's a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
But I'm out here able to say I played in 3 different continents. Most of the NFL players cannot even say they played in 3 different continents.
Yeah.
And when they came to, just like when I was hearing stories and podcasts and everything, when players came to play in Munich, when they played in Munich, that was like their first time in Germany. I was like, I already done did it. So it's not something you telling me, able to live a lifestyle that, like, you see a different lifestyle. Berlin is a well-known city around the world, and a lot of famous people come to Berlin, but it's like I'm living in Berlin, so you can't like I live in Berlin. So it's like it's different things that you take on, and you just be grateful for your life and what you do. But yes, the goal would be to play in the States, but I'm also happy where I'm at and what I'm doing now.
I love it, man. I've always been on the side when it comes to players of building a brand. Like, playing where you're playing. If you're being successful and you're one of the top players, build your brand and run with it there. Because the opportunity you may get, like you said, there is a lot of politics involved and there's a lot of other things involved, but you may not get that branding opportunity at a different spot. So if you got the opportunity to brand yourself now, do it, right? That's ultimately at the end of the day, you play football, A, for the love of the game, and B, to make a living off of it. So it's awesome to see that you're doing that right now with the ELF, man. That's awesome.
And that's what it is. Just like you said, just build that brand and just love to do what you love to do. That's it.
For sure. Hey, Kyle, I don't have anything else, man. I just want to say thank you so much for coming out, man, and whatnot. But before we get off here, or before I, end the recording and end the show or whatever, do you have a shout out to anybody in particular? Is there anybody you want to give a call out to? And just anything. The floor is yours for the next couple minutes, man. If you want, man, it's up to you, bro.
Thank you to you for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Washington, for just this opportunity. Thank you to Berlin Thunder for giving me the opportunity to play football. Of course, the organization, Berlin Thunder organization, my medical team, my staff, thank you for all of them. And thank you first and foremost, thank you to God, and then, family and my friends. That's it.
3 records in one show. First time I've been called Mr. Washington on the show, too. Look at that. Kyle Kitchens here, Berlin Thunder defensive end, sack leader currently in the ELF season, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.